everybody. Welcome to another episode of In My Opinion. My name is John.
My name is Lester.
And yes, welcome to another episode. Welcome back, my homies.
Welcome back. Hope you guys are doing well.
Yes.
Before we get into today's episode, it's a rather chill episode today. Is it chill? Not really
No,
chill.
it's not chill. Okay,
It's not chill at all.
The next episode will be chill, but you'll find out more. So in order to reach the next episode, for those of you that are joining us for the first time, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, in the links in the description box below, join us on our Telegram chat, join us on our new Instagram page. If you came from a previous episode, you'll realize, the link don't work anymore. Don't worry, we actually changed the page to Overthink SG on Instagram.
Yes.
So Instagram.com/OverthinkSG. Come and join us there. We are also streaming on Twitch, so twitch.tv/OverthinkSG. So basically, we are OverthinkSG everywhere.
Everywhere. Easier for everyone. Sorry, my brain kind of blanked out just now. I don't know what happened. But today's topic
It must be your haircut.
It must be the haircut. The haircut, I cannot think anymore. It looks like a helmet. Maybe that's why. But I think today's topic is not very chill. Next week's episode is chill. But basically, today we'll be talking about doxxing. And weirdly enough, we have talked about it before, John. We have talked about it long time ago. It's a episode about online vigilantism. Do you remember that episode, John?
Yeah, I do remember. And I think that was like triggered by the whole Xia thing, right? If I'm not wrong.
No, I think it was just randomly I decided to talk about it. It was like, at the time, there was this incident of like people doxing this couple that was very mean to this old uncle in the hawker center. They released their employment info, etc., etc.
Yes.
But today's topic, there's a reason why I'm bringing it up again. It's also triggered by another event. Recently, it's gone quite viral on TikTok. But basically, it's this incident involving a girl who was basically being lied to the entire time during her friendship.
Yeah.
And the person who was lied to basically wrote an expose about her friend. And
mind you, this expose was written on a blog belonging to the author. The blog post is like from 2018. So
it's been a while.
Legit, it resurfaced.
It resurfaced on TikTok because I think the author went to do a TikTok about it as well. So
interesting.
Yeah, so that's how I knew about it as well. So it basically just resurfaced. Everyone kind of knew about talking about it on TikTok, and people were reading the blog posts, etc. But basically, we didn't want to release too much information because, first of all, is the whole topic of doxing. First of all, illegal in Singapore. Let's just get out of the way. So doxing is illegal in Singapore. That's something that we do not, contend. If it's doxing is illegal, you're going to face like legal repercussions. That's very simple.
Yes, and if anything in Singapore, we take our legal system very seriously. So don't try it.
Don't try the system. But the question now is not whether or not doxing is legal. The question now is doxing morally wrong? Which I think is a slightly different question to ask. It's kind of like how Batman, whatever he does is technically illegal, but is it morally wrong? See?
Yes.
The question is a bit more nuanced than that. We're not questioning the legal system or anything. It's just a simple thought experiment for us to figure out what the line is in our heads. So for John, quick reactions to that whole TikTok incident. Do you have anything that you want to say?
Okay, I actually do, because the thing about it is that you must forgive me, especially for our viewers. First things first, I do encourage you all to engage with us in this topic, and even more so around the whole Christina Koo saga. I'm just gonna call her Christina Koo because after all, that was the person's name that was revealed in the blog post. I don't have a better way to describe it, but let's call it the Christina Koo saga. But the main thing is, for me, right, when I see this, and you must understand, you forgive me, I have not fully read the whole thing.
Neither have I.
Like carefully. Okay, I've skimmed through the whole thing.
Skimmed through, yes.
Right. I can see why this is an issue that becomes like a doxing problem, because a lot of details was submitted basically to the internet lah.
Is almost everything, short of like some other side characters' names, short of their university and their course, I guess. But essentially everything
maybe
else
short of like their home addresses and whatever.
Okay, the one don't have But essentially a lot of other things are there.
Correct. So like basically the whole details around this person. But at the same time, I also hesitate to say like it's doxing.
Okay.
hear me out on this, okay?
Yes.
I hesitate to just call it fully doxing, purely because the person's name and the circumstance surrounding the issue, right, were reviewed without basically submitting their personal details to the court of public opinion, if that makes sense. It's like, for example, we throw back to the time whereby this couple was mean to some old person, right?
Yeah.
And then basically they uncover their names, their location, their personal info, their employment info, and all that kind of thing. That's doxing.
That was very
right?
clear cut.
Because that one is like where you take the person's personal info to use it against them.
Yeah.
This one is like, as I review this story around this person, personal things about them surface as well.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
okay.
the things that surface were not like NRIC, location, or potential information that can be used maliciously.
Sure.
It was just their story.
The max that they had was the name. That's the max that to be fair,
so that's why I feel that it's not really doxing, but like it's at the same time it falls into that little bit of a gray area, because after all it is calling out this person like publicly, putting them out to the lynch mob, the court of public opinion for that matter.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's where it gets a little bit iffy. But of course I'm not the law, right? But in my head, I feel that this is grey enough that I cannot give you a concrete answer. But I will still say that this swerves dangerously close to illegal doxing.
But is whether or not it's moral lies on whether or not it's legal?
No, okay. That brings us to our second point, right?
Yeah,
but before
yeah.
that, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Okay.
Do you think that whether this is considered doxing?
First of all, I'm like, okay, the person, just now I say the person wrote the blog post in a very, very narrative and entertaining way. So I think it's something that the story is something that boggled my mind. So that's first of all.
Right.
I think it's
same. I mean, for the times that I was not confused were times that I was blown away.
I was really, it's really crazy. It's really something else. I can understand why the person is upset. Because if I were in their position, I would be pissed as hell also. And I will be really, really angry, and I will be really, really hurt. So
you're talking about the author.
The author. So just get out of the way. Like I would say I understand how she feels, but I at least empathize. But
I understand her reaction.
Definitely. But at the same time, I was telling John off camera, I was telling him through text, I was saying that this gives me very, very huge mixed feelings. Because I think it might be the anti-conflict person in me that just doesn't want to really.
Yeah, he's an Enneagram type 9.
I'm actually type 2. But we basically I'm type 2.
Nonsense.
2. Really, I did. Yeah.
When do you do this test?
A while ago. Not a while ago,
like same type,
1 month ago maybe. We're same type. Dude,
nonsense. I call bullshit.
I'm
you are
type 2 and type 7. But
I haven't gone to the wing part, but I'm type 2.
Okay. But anyways.
Okay, anyway, yeah.
I'm quite anti-conflict. So just saying this made me like a bit like scared. Because I can see why, as much as I understand the reaction, it is not necessary. You know what I mean? Like it's not necessary for a conclusion. Neither I can see why to other people it might not be necessary for a conclusion. Maybe it is to her, but to me, if I were in their position, I probably would not have done it simply because I don't think it's necessary to have a closure to the situation or the story.
I guess that's true, but like also I do want to throw you back to 2018 you, and let's say we consider that, right? Would your answer have changed?
2018 me, how old was I? I'm 21.
Because you think about it, this person reviewed in 2018, which means that the shit probably went down one or 2 years earlier. In fact, one part they mentioned that this nonsense with the Christina Koo character has been going on since 2008 to 2017, which is almost a good 10 years. 2018 you, 3 years ago, can you safely say that you wouldn't have reacted the same way?
I would have probably told my friends. Like, it would have been a very, very good story to tell over soju, and like, when I just getting to know my friends, like, hey, remember this last time I got this friend that did this to me? And it would have been a story that I'd say within the same breath of like my love life and my past love life, etc. Would I have put it on the internet? Probably not. Just as how I don't put my love life or my love experiences on the internet now, even if it has ended badly or whatever. So I don't think I would have done it, but I don't think it's necessarily because whatever they are doing is immoral. I think it's just more because I am naturally someone who prefers to not want to I guess step on people's toes. But but I think the question about whether or not it's immoral is still quite important, because you mentioned just now about like how in the case of the hawker center person, they revealed their employment details, they revealed names, they revealed everything. That one's very clear cut.
So it's like they weaponize the info. You know what I mean?
Yes, correct. So it's very clear cut, and we both agree that that's immoral. That's stepped into immoral.
That one is super immoral because clearly the reason that the information was revealed, not because there was a contextual need to.
Yes, I agree.
This one was revealed so that people can weaponize it against them.
I agree.
Yeah.
So I think that's the extreme, and that was very easy to agree on, because we all agree that's immoral. As no matter how messed up the person is immoral.
I mean, there's no two ways about it, lah.
Yeah. Then the next opposite will be like this. If I say this author didn't say her full name.
Yeah.
They just wrote
CK,
or wrote a fake name. That would have been fine as well to us. Right, because it's just a substitute of a name. That one is confirmed not doxing, confirmed not immoral, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now the problem is that it's somewhere in between, where the full name is released. So technically they didn't reveal the address, never revealed her Instagram page, never revealed anything else, but they revealed her name, her full name, plus the name that she goes on. Is that enough information for you to derive all the other steps that you technically didn't give them? But in a weird way, you kind of did.
Okay, I won't comment about the legality of this, because after all,
not the legality, morality,
or the systems or the whatever, but morally and emotionally, okay.
Yeah.
I think that
iffy, yeah. What's our immediate thoughts? Oof.
My immediate thoughts is that okay. My immediate thoughts, right, is that I am uncertain, but I am betting my bottom dollar that most people will cry foul and call it doxing.
Is the legal part or the immoral part of it?
The emotional part of me, the people on the internet.
Okay.
People will be like, oh my god, this is doxing. But the thing about it is that they will not, because of the way the court of public opinion works, they will not focus on the doxing. They will be like, oh shit, that's juicy.
That's drama shit. And people like drama if anything. Yeah.
I'm going to use it to whack this CK.
Oh no. I thought you use it to do a podcast like us.
No. That's us because we're intellectuals. Oi!
we meta. But like I think...
No, yeah, but you know what I mean? I think most people's their first reaction would be like, hey, wow, someone's being doxed, even though it may not fit the legal definition. Someone's being doxed. Let's read their story.
So when they say someone is being doxed, is it in a like, oh my god, he's doing something immoral? Or is it in a, oh my god, this is just juicy shit?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I think this is a power thing really. Okay, this gets deeper, right? I think it's a power thing because people in general feel that like when this kind of ability is democratized to the people on the internet, and we've spoken about this a lot of times, right? Democratizing power on the internet, right? Then it becomes like people get this false power trip that they have a hold over this Christina character.
Yeah.
When they don't even know whether Christina is even the real name, right?
Yeah. Honestly, you have no idea. You don't know who she is, don't know how she looks like, don't know anything.
So I think people are not like feeling any moral dilemmas when dealing with a situation like this.
That's true. I do agree
because, right? Yeah, because even though a name was created, a name was given out, and quote unquote steps into the realm of doxing, right? It becomes people still is dehumaned enough that people don't pack any value to it.
Yeah, I get it.
People don't pack any value to it. You know what I mean?
I understand. And I think that's what most people are. Most people are just here for the drama and for the ride. But
most people are just here for the drama and hiding behind their own anonymous usernames.
to be fair, partially that's us also. I mean, we are trying our best to think about it in a more, to try to generalize it to a societal issue or a moral issue.
Yeah.
So I'm still very torn about whether or not it's okay. Because honestly speaking, right, and I've learned this in psychology as well. Like sometimes you think that you're releasing some certain very non-essential, like non-defining information. Let's say, for example, I release information about your race.
A screenshot, for example.
Yeah. Or maybe even for, let's say, a psychologist's point of view. Let's say I release data based on, like, I just release only, like, let's say, your race and your hometown. For most people, it's like, just race and hometown, you cannot identify anyone with that, right? But then there have been cases of where this happens where, like, basically, there's only one person of this race in this hometown. Suddenly, it's identifiable already. So, like, you might think it's unidentifiable, and because of that, it's not immoral and not anything, right? And you're not doing any harm. But it actually is, because there are so much shit that you can come off with just one small piece of innocuous or innocent information. Which is why psychologists, when we handle data, we handle it very, very carefully, because we understand that anything can identify anyone. They just need to dig hard enough. And
it's like, this is where a question of ethics comes in, right?
Exactly. Which I think boils into this as well. Because they...
Yeah, it does.
At least so from what we know, they release her real name. And release her real name and what she goes by.
Yeah.
So, is it possible... I don't know whether people have found her. I don't think they have. And I don't think people have...
Let me just put it out there that I did a very surface level Google search of the real full name based on what the blog post has mentioned.
Yeah.
Right? It is very suspicious because there's almost nothing, which indicates usually, right, a very conscious effort to remove these people from the first few pages of the search engine. Do you know you can do that?
Oh, I didn't know you could do that. Wow, that's crazy.
You can, I believe there's some payment or some contact thing that you can contact Google support or whatever, and they will be able to remove your search item from,
or maybe they
the
just
top
deleted
view
all
or
the
something
social
like
media, who the hell knows, right?
Either that or that.
Oh, yeah, so like,
you know?
Maybe they were not able to identify her based on whatever information is given, but whether or not they actually were able to identify or not, the fact that they could have, that's what's giving me mixed feelings. And I don't think the point of the story necessarily was to expose her. I think the point of the story was to share this person's grief and this person's like drama and the problem that she went through. I don't necessarily think the author wanted to, and I'm very sure the author didn't want to expose, like cause harm to his character.
Sure.
Because even in TikTok, she said like, do not harass her, do not go and like contact her and everything. So I think she definitely understands that that's a line that she will not cross. So if that's the case, what's the point of
this is where
name?
it gets iffy. But this is where it gets iffy, because if you reveal information like this, but then you put with a pretext, don't go after so and so.
Yes.
Like, I don't know, has that ever worked?
It hasn't. So the thing
it has never worked.
Here's the thing, like that's why I can see iffy as well. Because I'm sure the author's like intentions are very like just wants to vent and just wants to share the story, because goddamn it's a good story, and goddamn she went through a lot of shit. So like we understand her reaction. It's more of like if you weren't trying, like you definitely didn't want to cause harm. So I didn't understand necessarily why the name needed to be out there. To be fair,
that's
she also
true.
put
Now
her
that
real
we think
name.
about it, if we talk about this story, right? Without bringing in the name, will it have diminished anything? Probably not, right? Probably not. So in the context of doxing, then this would be what you would call a not so good move.
Yeah, to be fair, she did put her name and the other close friend's name. So like they weren't hiding behind a shroud of anonymity while they show off this person. And this person the author has been like on TikTok and very, very open, showing her face, everything. So maybe that's one thing that you can consider. But personally, I think the story could have been said without putting a name.
For sure can.
I'm not taking it away that she suffered and she should have the right to say her story. I'm just saying that like it's a bit more iffy now. And I'm not I'm trying not to like make it such that we are dismissing her problem or dismissing her story, because we don't want to do that. But at the same time, like it makes me have a lot of mixed feelings. How about you, John?
Yeah, I feel that like on the one hand, let's be very 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 real here lah. Okay, let's be real here. I feel that like we everyone on the internet can relate to why this author even reviewed the name in the first place.
100%.
One would be to contextualize the story and everything. The second one is, let's be real here, there is a small little hope that the court of public opinion does something about it.
Okay, I will not. Okay, I don't want to assume.
I'm not saying that that's the full intention.
Okay.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but the fact that the name was even put there, right, clearly is because either to reach out to people who may support the story.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And secondly would be to properly point the finger.
Maybe it's just they went through so much shit that they just thought that like fuck,
no, I'm not saying that she's wrong.
Why are we
I'm not saying
protecting
that she's
her?
wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that she's wrong for doing that.
Yeah.
I think it's only human that you do that.
Would you have done that,
that's
John?
the one thing. I think I would have come close to doing that, but I may have done things slightly different. But to the similar effect, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I've been very open about the fact that I'm quite a vengeful person when it comes to
Yeah.
to these kind of things.
Yeah.
I may not have put up a post like this,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I may have shared the info to everyone.
Yeah.
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 Enough to not make me, not enough to not put trouble onto me, but enough to put that person into enough trouble.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that was the kind of like low key when people do this kind of expose, there is a small part of themselves that may have had this intent. You can never prove that, right?
Never proved that, yeah.
But like
sure.
it's just a feeling that probably that was one of the small bits of the intent. The rest could be just like you said, venting. So I don't think that is enough to, let's say, draw or to pass judgment on any of the actions that has transpired. Because if we really were to touch our heart, most of us cannot say with confidence that we have done things differently.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I've written blog posts as well about people and people that I've upset about. To be fair, the blog is private, and to be fair, I didn't write the person's name or the people's name. But at the same time, I understand the need to write it out and to
release, right?
To release. I'm still torn because technically, in just like purely like what I think, if I didn't know about the psychology thing, right? I'm just thinking about the fact that if I didn't know that such a small amount of information can make you identifiable, if I didn't know that, I wouldn't have thought this at all. You know what I mean?
Exactly. This is something that I wanted to bring up because you see, for all you know, this original poster, right? She does not. She has never considered that even just the name could constitute to trouble coming back to her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because clearly the intent here is not to cause trouble on oneself. And I know whenever does that, right?
Yeah,
We're all
of course.
self-preserving people.
Yeah.
But like that's where it gets a little bit iffy and dangerous. Because if let's say this is enough to constitute doxing, right? Who gets in trouble here?
The person who posted it
proportionately gets into more trouble.
The person
who posted that one's up in the air, but like it still becomes problematic.
Yeah, I agree. So what's the line for you, John? So in this case, they released a name. What is your line that like?
I would say for me, right, if I were to be in a situation like this and equipped with all the skills and thinking that I have now, okay, I may not be able to answer for my past self or my future self, but if you tell me right now,
yes,
September, Lester pissed me off, right? I probably will not. I will probably go public with the information, but I will not indicate who this person is. I will still leave enough clues though for people to find you by themselves.
Okay. So you might have said like
no, I might say like, I used to do this podcast with this person. I will not tell you who it is, but you know that kind of situation.
Okay.
So that I leave enough breadcrumbs.
Yeah, but in that case, let's say we use that situation, let's say I pissed you off, I did you wrong, I did you dirty, and then you say that I used to do this podcast with this person. Technically, you didn't write my name, but people very easily can identify as me. It does
choice,
see, here's the thing. So does the morality of the issue come from the consequence, or does it come from the action?
So, okay, let me try to put my emotions aside when I try to think about this, because if you talk about morality, it's very, very, very difficult to rationalize that, right? While you're trying to process emotional response.
Yes, of course,
right?
Yes.
But like if you ask me, right, doing that kind of action in a half, right?
Yeah.
I am very tempted to just call it 100% immoral.
So like whatever you want to do, like I used to do 100% immoral.
100% immoral. Purely because it's what we have always been sort of like rallying against, which is the lynch mob mentality.
Yes.
We cannot promote lynch mob.
Of course, yes.
When you try to when you put people out on a public platform, you democratize the power. People can come in en masse to affect one person. This is what happened to that doctor that was charged with sexual harassment or assault or something, and then after that was absolved of it because the woman turns out she was lying.
Yes. Same thing.
You know, damage cannot be undone in that sense. So this is where the lynch mob thing we have to consider from the victim's point of view already. So as much as you will want to support the initial victim,
yes,
the upstanding thing to do is to not create more victims.
Sure, I agree.
The morally right thing is to not create more victims. Yeah, exactly. So that's why even though you ask me off the top of my head, what's the first thing I would do? And the answer is the immoral thing, right? I have to say that if I take a step back now and think about it, this entire saga, the whole situation happening, right, is immoral on its own also.
So like, let's say someone wants to be a moral person, someone wants to be a good person, as I believe that most people want to be. Actually, I would even go as far as say all people want to be more good, but that's just me being idealistic.
Correct,
if let's say this person wants to be good, but at the same time they need to vent, they have been done wrong, they're dirty, all these things is within their rights to say, right?
Yeah.
Do they need to care about the consequence, or do they just do their best to not do something and not cause the negative effects? But if it does, then you get what I mean? Like you saying that I used to do a podcast, right? It's technically speaking, if without the context and without seeing the consequence and the context of which the fact that you only do one podcast with one person, it's completely fine because no one can understand, no one knows who you're talking about. But once you put in the context, people know. So there's that consequence.
Yeah,
Does
so
it
like
matter?
this is too tough to answer. But let me try to give you an answer so it's not a cop out like that, right?
Yeah.
Does it matter? I think from a societal, legal, and third-party point of view, it does.
Okay.
And that's where it's difficult to rationalize, because if you're the person, if you're front and center with it, it's very difficult to see from that point of view.
I agree.
So it absolutely does matter, because if after all, what the objective is, right, is to not create more victims, distilled very simply, not create more victims, then it absolutely matters. So the approach, right, can never be a vent in public approach in that sense for anything.
That's true. Then isn't that a
But
flaw?
what will happen is that, but what will happen is that people tend to feel that that's the unfair thing to do, because they never considered the other ways they can still quote unquote gain justice.
Okay,
like for example, if we talk about this case with Christina Koo, at many points, right, there was the opportunity to escalate to authority, which would have been the more. Sorry?
I think they have.
No, I haven't finished the full story, but based on the stuff that I'm seeing at the start, especially earlier half, right, there were so many opportunities to escalate to authority, which is difficult to do because in real life, right, it's very difficult. Like they even mentioned about how it was very difficult to confront certain neighbors about the existence of certain people. So I get it also. I get that why that's tough. But that toughness is not a moral difficulty. That toughness is a matter of bravery.
Sure. I agree.
right?
Yeah.
So that's where the approach, right, would have been more productive, because not only will you get the results, you sort of vindicate yourself of any potential moral negativity that comes your way.
Sure.
Like I mean, I always believe in this. I guess because it's a culture, as a society in Singapore, it works well this way, right? Would be that if you encounter a big enough problem, right, hand it off to authority, so that authority can give you a answer back.
Yes, which I think they have.
Because if you
in this
take
case.
matters into your own hands, right,
Yeah.
then things become contentious.
At least for as far as I read, right, they have approached authorities, and I think they have.
Yeah,
they have
I
just-
believe they have lah.
Yeah.
But like, you know, early on in the first, because the blog post is 2 parts, I read the first part much more thoroughly than the second part. But the first part was saying the stuff like they did mention about things like death. There were things like threats. There were things like whatever, and there were things that like even saying that like, oh, we would call the cops or call the police or whatever, right? I feel that in that kind of situation, right, the moment call the police is put on the table, right, is the time to pull that trigger.
True.
And once that trigger is pulled, right, it becomes very clear, because the system is the system is not human one. There's no moral one. It just go in, come out what answer only. Very clear.
I agree. I'm torn also in this case, because like from the author's perspective, let's say we go back to a case that, let's say I didn't know about the psychology thing. Like I might have done what they did, and completely didn't know that it might be like a very, very harmful thing. Because like, to us it's just a name, but there's so many goddamn in the world. Like how are they going to find out? But then somehow maybe there are some internet sleuths out there, they'll find out. So
for sure have.
To me, so like to me, I can understand why like it is like maybe not on you, because like whatever, they can just like shut the fuck up and not listen, and not like go further with this information. But as we all know, the internet always goes further with the information. So is that really up to you to control? So like are other people's behavior up to you to control? Because you
it's not.
Exactly. So to what extent is it really immoral or their fault? Which I don't think it's really. I'm torn. As much as I thought that they could have been a little bit more careful, I stopped short of saying that's their fault. And I stopped short of saying that.
I think saying that it's their fault in the discussion of doxing and quote unquote if gets doxed, right, is their fault. I think it's missing the point here.
Okay.
Hear me out, because I think like you mentioned, you can't control people's behavior, but you can control whether you are the catalyst to that behavior.
Yes.
It's like talking about the legal system, right? Not every killing of a human being, right, is a murder.
Yeah, there's self-defense,
there's manslaughter, there's involuntary manslaughter, there's all kinds of, you know?
Yeah, sure. That's an extreme version of it.
That's where it becomes tough to justify. And if it's that tough to justify, right, the only thing that can be sort of like in contest here would be whether you even took that first step in the first place.
Wow, okay, sure.
Very, very, it almost feels unfair, right?
It does feel very unfair. I think we are being a bit unfair. Yeah.
It almost feels unfair, but I think because in order to properly investigate this, as much as it's inhuman to do, we have to take a stance of absolute neutrality.
Okay.
To the point whereby we cannot have any bias even towards the writer or
Sure.
And that means, right, as much as we would, based on our instinct, want to defend the author for all the bad things that has happened to her, we have to defend Christina with the same fervor.
Or rather, sure. Not
you
in
get
the,
where I'm
not
going
in
with
the
this, right?
things that was being accused against her.
Not in the content of the things that are happening.
Yeah.
But basically, we cannot have more things happen onto her.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
Not in the context of the argument between these two parties, but these two parties should be treated as equal parties.
I agree. I agree.
And that's the easiest way to investigate whether this whole saga was morally right or wrong.
And I think that goes into our own ideals as well. Because to us, is we don't want to cause more harm than there really is. To other people, they might have a different moral, like I guess, thinking or different like way of thinking about this. Our moral compass is let's not do more harm than there already is. But to other people, that might not be the predominant moral compass that they have. Because to other people, it might be you have done so much harm to me, I need to get even. Like,
no, and that's why it's flimsy, you see.
Yeah, it is flimsy.
You see, I give you an example of why it's extremely flimsy and it exists in us right now.
Yeah.
I am a vengeful person. I would probably have done something similar. But if I had to take myself out of the equation and talk about this, right?
Yeah.
This is how I would have approached it, which is contradictory to how I would normally behave.
Exactly.
And that's fine because people are people like that. But that is also the reason why we have to escalate or push it to a system that does not work like that.
Okay.
A system that does not care how you feel. Usually more often than not, that's a legal system.
Okay.
Because it's so tough, right? It's so tough because on the one hand, the reason why this writer even produced it is a reason that everybody 100% can relate to. In fact, why the internet mobs are angry is because they want justice.
I agree.
Right? Like behind every spilled tea, behind every
maybe not
internet
in this
drama,
case
most of the time behind every single internet drama is someone wanting some kind of justice.
Sure.
Proportionate or not is the issue here.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's tough. I don't want people to come out of this podcast and think that we are saying the OP was immoral, was wrong, was completely out of line or whatever. Because that's not what we think. In fact, even John admitted that he would have probably done something similar. And I as much as I think that I would not have, I think it's just purely because I'm just not brave enough to do so. I'm type 2. But okay.
No,
but
you're not.
basically that's not the takeaway, and I don't want anyone to be thinking that as well. I don't want that to be the impression. But I think it's a good thought process, a good thing for us to think about as well, because eventually some people are gonna do us wrong. Some people are gonna piss us off. And it's just about thinking about like whether in your own head, like your own moral compass, where as long as it's legal, let's say, as long as it's legal, in your own moral compass, what would you have done?
Yeah, it's very tough, and I do encourage you all that are watching this. Do two things. First will be to read very closely the recount on the blog post about what has happened. And then after that, to properly have a conversation with us in the comment section about like what your thoughts on the matter are. But at the same time, I do understand that this, because it runs deep with people, like we mentioned about your own moral compass, how you will actually react versus how you can react while talking about it as a third person. Let's be kind to each other and not spread negativity. If someone disagree with you, that's fine. We always want to engage with them in a intellectual way, and always be ready to have your minds changed. Because after all, there may be angles that we missed. Lester and I would say we share quite similar views in terms of our guiding principles for a lot of things. So our approach is very one-sided.
It's very same.
Yeah.
If the author
do engage with us and let us know.
If the author is watching this, first of all, hello. Second of all,
would you like to come on our show?
Exactly. I think it'll be cool. To talk about it and talk about your thought process as well.
And Christina too. Both of y'all, if y'all want to come, please.
I don't think Christina's going to come. But thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. I think we've come to the end of it. Any final thoughts, John?
For me, I'm still very torn on who is what the issue is here, and like I do sympathize with the author, because I do understand that there's a long time of anguish that was built up by somebody who basically was like gaslighting you and posing as your friend. I won't try to discount your suffering, but at the same time, I do hope that you find some peace in that sense, and some closure as well, because after all, the whole reason it resurfaced is because this person still felt the need to bring it up more on social media. which indicates that this person is still feeling some kind of hurt. So I hope there's some closure for you. We may not be able to give you any answers, but like, yeah,
I think it's tough.
let's hope this thing ends. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's tough. And even doing this before we did this episode, we were like considering whether or not to even like talk about the incident at all, like whether to not mention it at all, because there's a lot of like legal, as I said, legal repercussions and also a lot of moral repercussions as well. So like, I'm still very iffy, and I feel very iffy. But at the same time, I think this is a good time for us to, I guess, I mean, it's been 2 years already, right? Like, it's a good time for the rest of us who haven't read this blog post when it came out in 2018 to think about it and like think about what you have done in the situation as well, and discuss in the comments down below like what you think is the right way and everything. And you'll see that a lot of people probably have very different opinions about it as well, because all these are very iffy. Our opinions are based on our ideology, which is very, very shaky to begin with, really. So like everyone will have different ideologies, so it's just up to you guys to think what is yours. And I think this is a good way to think about it. A good like starting point to start thinking about like really what are you looking for in your moral compass. Not to say
correct.
you are wrong or you are immoral or we are moral and we are virtue signaling or anything. It's just interesting thought experiment.
It is because like we are also interested in what drives people to do certain things in certain way. Yeah. And we're not here to be the ones to tell you that you did right or did wrong.
Yes. Okay? Yes.
We're not here to do that.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, like our beliefs, right, most of the time is something that's more moderate. Sure. And taking a moderate calculated approach will always be the best to solving any problem. But of course, you don't need to think the same way as us.
You really don't. But I think with that, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. Today's episode is a little bit more iffy or fluffy or less concrete as compared to other episodes. But I still think it's an important topic to think about and a good experiment. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys next week and don't get COVID. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Stay safe, my dudes. Bang, bang, bang.